Coming up, we are back into the inbox.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Sean Priest.
Normal service has resumed this week on Double Tap. It's nice to be back. How are you, Sean?
I'm relaxed, Stephen Scott. It's good to get back into it, as you said. This is nice. I love the feedback episodes, I've got to say.
Yeah, my favourite ones of all. Listen, how are your fingers doing? Because we didn't tell the story of what happened to your fingers while you were away in Los Angeles.
Yes, the nightmarish tragedy that was my fingers. Yes, and a Uber driver and a door.
Uber mistake, yes.
I say it was a nightmarish tragedy, and you found it hilarious.
I've never laughed so much in days. Honestly, I thought I would have to get out of the car because I would be having to clean the car by the time I left. It was honest. I could not stop laughing. Please tell everyone what you did, because it was absolutely hilarious.
We went for breakfast at Denny's. Wasn't that a film? Very nice.
I think
so. Of course,
yeah.
you got to try it out, right? The American experience. I've heard of Denny's in the movies. So
Did you like it?
To try it out. I did like it. It was strange. Here's a plate of meat, and then 5 minutes later, and here's some eggs. It was slightly odd, but very nice.
Oh, sorry. So, and then another plate of meat came because there wasn't enough meat on that first plate.
Sorry. 4 sausages where I come from are big sausages. Those were not sausages. They were tiny. Anyway, yes, we had our breakfast and we were leaving, ordered an Uber, and you were guided into the back, and the guy said, you can sit in the front, and he put my hand on the frame of the door, and I was just about to get into the front, and suddenly he slid the door shut on my fingers. I proceeded to scream quite vocally.
Oh, you did?
Quite high.
I've never laughed so much in my life.
And all I could hear was chuckling and giggling from the back seat. And the taxi driver was just trying to pull my hand out.
Oh.
And I had to say, well, actually, it's probably best if you open the door off my fingers. Oh, wow. And then, of course...
To be clear, it's a Tesla, right?
Yes.
Which, I can't believe a car has become controversial, but it has. And so, the Tesla car, it doesn't seem, I cannot understand how these things work. There's no handle inside to open the door.
No.
There's no way for us to release, at least if there is, I don't know where it is. There must
you
be
could not release my fingers,
no.
Stephen Scott.
I was also laughing too much as well.
I was going to say, I don't want to rub it in, but you were also too busy laughing and guffawing away.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily enough, though, I've got to say, at least the door, the edges of the door weren't sharp. Otherwise, I would have lost those fingers.
Oof.
But it's one of those things where he opens it and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "Yeah, it's all right." And then I'm starting to feel hot, sweaty, feeling sick, and but luckily enough, no damage done, except they're numb and I can't feel to type. But yes,
other than
it was
that,
all
it's
fine.
been great. Yes, you lost the use of your fingers. That's brilliant. Well done, Ellie.
No broken bones, no cuts, no blood, just crushed. But yeah, that was fun. I'm glad you found it amusing, Stephen Scott.
I couldn't stop laughing. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong. There was a point where I thought, actually, hang on, is this getting serious? Because you were getting a bit quiet. And I thought, and there was one moment where I stopped laughing. I wiped the tears away from my eyes and said, "Are you actually all right?" And then you said yes, and I just went back to laughing again.
Yes, I think the exact words you used were, I thought the screaming was going on a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And I thought something may have been happening at that point.
Well, I thought at first, he's having a bit of a joke and a bit of a jape, as you like to. You like to be a bit of a japester.
Screaming very high-pitched at the top of my lungs.
Well, you do that every day.
Dennis. Yeah, well, that's true. That's me singing, usually.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, it was sore. There's nothing worse when you trap your fingers in something. Someone just save me, because I can't move or think.
It could have been worse.
Yes.
It could have happened to me.
No, that's true.
So,
well done, Stephen Scott. You are a hero, as ever.
You know. Thank you. Thank you. I know. Thank you. Guys, please. No, I because, can you imagine how much I would have complained if that had happened to me?
No, that's true.
Weeks
true. There would have been a lawsuit.
Yeah. No, no lawsuit. Just complaints. I was in a taxi in London once, and I remember getting into the car, and the seatbelt wouldn't click shut. It was just the bit that you click the seatbelt into was kind of broken.
Yes.
And so I couldn't get the seatbelt closed. And the guy said, look, it's only a 5-minute journey. It's not a problem. And at which point I could hear sirens getting closer and closer. Now, it is London. It's a big city. Sirens all around. It's not uncommon. But they were getting closer and closer. And as we're driving along, the next minute, he slammed on the brakes. And in like 1 second, I'm on the floor. Like just sitting on the floor. As if I had just like woken up there, right?
Yes.
And I had no idea how I'd managed. I didn't even feel myself coming away from the chair. I just landed and no pain at all. Again, just laughing like a hyena because I thought it was so ridiculous. My wife is laughing her head off because that's what we do in our family. We just laugh at everything.
Laugh at tragedy.
Laugh
well
at tragedy. Yes. Laugh in the face of it. And we.
Well, no, wait. Hang on. I thought you were about to get arrested for not wearing a seatbelt.
No, because it was the driver's fault. His thing wasn't working properly, and then I ended up, falling off the seat because he slammed on the brake.
Very slidey seats in the back of a black cab.
There's the black Hackney cabs, yeah. So, it's loads of room in there, at least, which you can...
It's your own fault, Stephen Scott.
Well, I've
got no sympathy for you.
I got out of the car, my back was a little bit twingy, and I thought, oh dear, and then that was fine. But I think the guy thought that was my, his career
I'm sorry, it's just not the same, all right? Don't try and push into my pity party.
I'm trying to think of anything else has happened. Well, I'm sure there has, but I'm sure we could go back in time and think of horrific moments. What's a horrific moment from your life you'd like to share on Double Tap? Email
Feedback
us.
at doubletaponair.com.
That was also hilarious. Horrific moments that were hilarious. Okay, that's the only ones we'll accept. Well, you're all right though, aren't you? Other than the fact you can't feel your fingers.
Yeah, well, a week later you asked me that. Yes, I'm fine, thank you, Steve.
Asked you on the day?
Yeah, eventually, when you got your breath back.
God. Never happened.
Anyway, more stories to come.
Yes. Oh, yes. Plenty to come. Okay, let's dive into the inbox. Come on, let's get into it.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Oofta.
Oh, changing up a bit, I've been to California. I'm, something. Travelled. That's the word.
Well, you're certainly something, I'll give you that.
Thank you. Move on.
Let's hear from Charles first up, who's, I think, has been enjoying our CSUN coverage.
Hey, I'm impressed at the amount of content you guys have already put out, and I assume there is more to come. I've been to my fair share of conferences and conventions, and one thing I have learned is even if you go in with a plan, no plan survives first contact with, the conference. So... yeah, good on you guys for getting all of the content that you have. I have loved all of the tech reviews and the panels that you guys put out. Looking forward to all of the new things and interviews that we hear over the coming weeks and months. Keep up the great work. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for that, Charles. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We had so much fun at the conference, and we certainly... we have so many more conversations, and I think you'll enjoy the ones that are coming up. There's one particular conversation coming up next week, all about AI, which I don't think you want to miss, because we have got some serious heavy hitters in the room talking about AI and accessibility, but also where AI is going and what it's going to do to jobs. I think both you and I were pretty stunned by their reactions. I'm normally the one that's being a little bit negative about it.
Yes, we tried to put a positive spin on it, but
easy.
It's a frank conversation, I've got to say.
And there was no one called Frank in the room, but
no.
Frank felt like he was there. So, yes. Anyway, thank you for that, Charles. Appreciate it. Also to Derry, who got in touch.
Hi, Stephen, Sean, it's Derry Lawler here from Dublin, Ireland. Listen to your podcast from the CSUN. Sounds great. Although the room you're in doesn't sound that great, but Sorry. It's great to hear you there. Looking forward to hearing about all the different exhibits that yourself and Sean or yourself you're spending money on. Sean, go out and buy something, for goodness sake. I've paid for the pre-order for the Giga glasses, the Echo Vision. So I wonder, would you be able to visit them as well? It'd be interesting to see how they're getting on. I don't think the glasses are coming until June or so, but keep up the great work. Great to hear Stuart Lawler there today, the last podcast I listened to. So delighted, great to hear your podcast and interested to hear what's going on this year. Take it easy.
Thanks, Derry. Appreciate that. And yes, in fact, we flew through Dublin, so we waved at you, Derry, as we flew past.
We did.
Yeah.
The day before St. Patrick's Day. So
we flew out through Dublin and came back in through Dublin not on St. Patrick's Day, because that was Monday. we flew through on the Sunday. But by that point, we didn't know what day it was. And it would appear some of the people who were on the plane didn't know what day it was either, but for slightly different reasons.
They didn't care. No, absolutely.
Exactly.
And we did get hands-on with the Echo Visions. And I tried them out. It was very nice. Still, hopefully they'll be out for June. They were still, obviously, very much in the, what would you say, pre-production stage. They had to be very careful when they were putting them on my face because they were hand-assembled. But I've got to say, I did like the responsiveness using ChatGPT, asking what was in front of me. The responses were very nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I hope for these, I really do. I guess I wonder if, I think about the Envision glasses, right? And what Envision has done with the glasses is incredible, and I've been saying that. But let's be honest, there's going to be a mainstream solution coming that should, in theory, open the door for all of this kind of technology to exist on the mainstream device rather than having to buy something specialist. And look, we have to be realistic here. Technology and everything is moving so fast. Everything's moving so fast that assistive tech companies just cannot possibly keep up. Smaller companies that are trying to develop for our group, for our community, are going to struggle. They're going to compete against the Metas and the Googles and the Samsungs when they start releasing theirs.
Absolutely. But look, you've used Look and Tell for the brief period of time it was available over here in the UK. And it was frustrating. I do not miss Look and Tell on the Meta glasses whatsoever. Not at all. I didn't find it that useful.
I don't think about that, though, if I'm honest. I don't think about it because the way it would appear to me is that the way Meta is going, that over time, they're building a platform. So essentially, they're building another Google Glass, right? They're building a version of that, right? Which means that it will be able to have its own apps and software on there. And we saw the video, I think the week before last, we played the video in of Envision working with Meta to develop this indoor navigation tool, which sounds incredible, right? So mainstream device with that level of navigation. You imagine with Be My AI in there, Be My Eyes, you've got the live component, other products.
Which is exactly what the Envision glasses are on the Google Glass.
That's right. So once Meta come up with their version, and who knows what Google have got planned, Google seems the most obvious one to do this because that's what they did before with Google Glass. It was too early, I think, with Google Glass. I think the design was problematic. I think that the technology, even though it was excellent at the time, was too expensive, and a lot of people just didn't understand where it fitted in.
Isn't that a big part of it, though? The affordability, the price point. The Meta glasses, still quite expensive, right, comparatively.
They're considered purchases, of course.
But compared to the Envision, the other options in the assistive market at the minute, they are an absolute bargain. And the Echo Visions from a Giga are planning to be, what, $499, something like that? Around
$449, I think, at the sale price at the moment. They're doing a bit of a deal. I think during the CSUN time, there was a deal on. But that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal, I think, for what you're getting. I mean, that they felt the equivalent of the Meta glasses, build-wise and the design. But these are focused for us. These are going to give us the descriptions. I mentioned, we got hands-on and used them a little bit, and the description was absolutely great. There was none of that. Well, sorry, I can't tell you that. I'm not able to tell you that. It described absolutely everything because that's what we need. I don't know. I think, versus mainstream, I know what you're saying, but I think if we can tune the prompt on the Meta glasses or whatever comes next, then yes, absolutely. I'm blind. Give me all the description. If we can't, then things like the Echo Vision are the answer.
There was another pair of glasses we saw from a company that they didn't have a booth, but we have spoken to these guys before, the Lighthouse Tech. You had a chance to catch up with Nathan Deutsch, and he was talking about this. Now, we've had Nathan on the show a few times in the past. He's been at CES, he's been at CSUN before, and we've spoken to him about the development of these glasses from about 2021, 22, I think. It's when they kind of started coming around, and they've been in development. Now, these are not the kind of Meta Ray-Ban types or even the Echo Vision types. What these are navigation glasses. So you had a chance to try them on. What was your take on that?
I was very impressed. They didn't feel oversized. They felt pretty much like normal sunglasses. The arms were a little bit bigger, but again, this was a pre-production model. So these are the equivalent to the sonar vibrating glasses that we've seen for years, right? They've been around for years, but these use radar. Instead of sonar emitters to detect obstacles, they use radar. One radar emitter at the end of the hinge side of each arm of the glasses.
Leg.
No, arm. We had this discussion at the arm of the glasses. Now, the advantages of that is that they're not affected at all by weather, by rain, totally waterproof. And there's two of them, so you can get the sort of positioning of an obstacle in front of you, whether you can walk around it or not. And I just thought they worked really well. Like I say, a normal pair of sunglasses design-wise, but when you put them on, just above your ears was a little protrusion, which had vibrating motors in them. And obviously, you know, the closer you were to an object, the stronger and the faster the pulsing of the vibrations. Turn away, and it dimmed away, for it was further away. And again, difficult to say on the floor of the exhibition there, but I would love to try these out and see how good they are for, you know, when you're navigating about, trying to get around those cars on the sidewalk. I was quite impressed by these, and it really made me want to try these out. So yeah, these were cool. Again, price point around $1,500 was muted, so I don't know.
It's challenging, isn't it? Because again, you know, if I'm going to wear a pair of sunglasses, I want almost the ones that do it all.
I know, we need another head.
Well, that's right. It gets to the point. So how many pairs of glasses can I now wear on my head? And it goes back to Negative Julian's point about the types of wearables that are on offer. If it's all sunglasses, we actually do run into a problem, because I may love the navigation sunglasses, but I kind of also want to get voiceover through my phone, or from my phone into those glasses. I want to use navigation tools. I want to use AI, so it gets a little bit cumbersome.
Well, again, going back to your point about mainstream and almost these technologies crossing over. I mean, if we do ever get to the point of live video AI descriptions, you know, and rather than it being passive and us having to ask it if there's anything in front of us, of it being able to say, oh, there's a car, you know, 10 feet in front of you, you can go to the right or left of it, then is there really a place for the vibrating navigational glasses at that point? Honestly, I don't know.
I was quite impressed by the shoes. So this was a company from Japan. It was actually on the first day, but just as we were walking around, we were the exhibition was being set up, and we had a chance to talk to this lovely woman from Japan who had developed these shoes. Well, not actually shoes, almost like insoles that go into shoes. And they have a little protrusion, to use your word, a little device which sits actually on the outside that sort of drives the motors inside the soles. So you have vibrating pads, essentially, that you're standing on inside the shoes. So any shoes you choose to wear, you put this little insole inside. It's almost like a spider-type design, which goes inside. And you've got a couple of vibrating motors at the top, at your toes, one at your heel, and then one at the side of your feet on the outside. And what that does is it connects to an app, which they have their own app, but it can work with Google Maps, and they're saying it'll work with other services down the line. The idea here is that you can be navigated through vibrations in your feet. Now, I have to say, I've heard of this before, and I've often thought, okay, but this is the joy of CSUN, right? You get a chance to try these things. And actually, I quite liked it, because, you know, it's not something I'd perhaps use all the time or even rely on 100%. I would probably still have some kind of navigation with audio in my head through Soundscape or otherwise. But as you're walking along, again, it's all about reducing the amount of cognitive load that we face every day with our devices. Sometimes for me, starting off on a route, knowing I'm walking the right direction is the big challenge. And
absolutely.
You'll say walk forward or what, you know, and you're not sure if the phone is kind of fully grasping where you are, if the GPS is pointing the right way. So sometimes you can start walking forwards and it tells you to turn around. This being able to do this by haptic feedback in your feet. So if you're walking the wrong way, your heels will start vibrating. And if you're walking the right way, the front will start. And it will even, for example, as you walk towards the turn, it will sort of almost give you a full-on vibration on the front, a constant vibration telling you to stop because it's time to turn. And it's almost like you feel an indicator in your right heel as it starts to vibrate on your right side to tell you to turn right. And as you turn, you can actually feel that turn towards the right direction in your feet because the vibrations move around to your toes again, so you know you're in the right direction. I was really impressed by that. And I think it's an interesting idea. Apparently, it's sold quite well in Japan. They're looking to develop it into the UK next, and then the US and Canada down the line. But I thought this is a really interesting idea. This is something I will look out for. It's actually something I would even consider buying. I think the price was around $600 US,
Yes.
which is quite a lot of money for what it is. But then again, is it? I mean, again, if it works for you and it's doing the job and it just gives you a little bit more confidence when you're walking around, but also lets you have your Meta Ray-Bans on or your Echo Vision or whatever.
Again, yeah.
You know,
exactly
it gives you
right.
that additional feedback that just kind of lets you know you're on the right path.
So I watched you walk up and down with these on. Now, so these are just directional turn by turn, right? Tactile turn by turn directions.
Yeah.
It's not telling you if there's any obstacles. You're not
No.
holding your phone out in front of you. It is purely a lot like the Apple Watch does. And I've never managed to get to grips with this, where it will
me
tap
neither.
you when it's time to turn left or right. It will do a little vibration on your wrist. But this is more, it's stronger, isn't it? It's on your feet and it was a stronger vibration. So a very cool idea. Again, it's one of those ideas where I think, yeah, okay, I understand what it's trying to do, but how does it work practically? And you being able to get feet on with it,
Hey,
really
feet's
cool.
on.
Really cool. Couldn't quite work out. There was a subscription as well. Very, very reasonable. I think it was $4 a month or
Yeah,
something. But we were trying to understand what you got for the $4, and we didn't get an answer to that.
Well, in fairness, I don't think she was understanding our questions very well.
No, there was a
because
language problem there,
Because
yes.
well, there was a Stephen Scott and Sean Priest problem. Let's be honest.
How dare you?
Two people who barely speak English trying to speak to this Japanese woman. So it was a bit of a challenge, but we are going to dig into that a little bit because I think this is an interesting product, an interesting idea, and certainly something I'd want to investigate further. Especially, I mean, I felt in the real world, there's nothing really this could do wrong other than if you give you wrong information, right? But if it's connected to Google Maps, you're going to get the right information. And I think just for walking with a bit of confidence, which is what it's really about. It's about walking with confidence, so you know you're on the right path. I do like that. It's almost like that's. It's almost secondary to everything else.
It is. Look,
Backup,
GPS.
backup navigation.
Backup. GPS is great. Absolutely fantastic. But for me, what you said there at the beginning is the problem that I have. You can walk down the street and you're waiting for that feedback to tell you, am I going in the right direction? And this is where, apps such as Voice Vista and things like that were so great, because as soon as I walk up to a turning, it just seemed to be more responsive and tell me everything I needed to know. Whereas some apps that I've used, turn-by-turn mainstream ones, don't. I'm constantly waiting for it to tell me if I'm going the right way.
Yeah.
So it needs to be how reliable. You need to trust it, right? So, very interesting.
Thank you so much for your comment, Derry. And now, actually, here's the thing. He asked it, Sean, buy something, and I want to shock you guys. In fact, I may go as far as this.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
It is breaking news because normally we say what Sean what Stephen bought this week. We very rarely say what did Sean buy this week, and what did Stephen buy. Well, I'll tell you, absolutely nothing. I bought nothing.
Shocker. Da, da, da. Side effect.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
Thank you.
It's there somewhere.
Stephen bought nothing, but I did. I know. Amazing.
Oh, there's one play again. Play it. There we go.
Yeah. Well, was it the final day? We were having a walk round and we found, I can't remember what the booth was called.
LS&S. That's the one.
LS&S, and they sold a range of products, talking clocks and measuring jugs and canes and absolutely everything. And they showed me a telescopic cane. And I thought, I really like this. I mean, it's for backup because I've got my main cane, obviously. And it's you that made me think about it, actually, Stephen. If something happens to your main cane, if someone, it does get stood on now and again, or it does get run over by a bike or whatever it may be, you're lost. And this telescoping cane, I thought it was so small, so handy. So it's like just carrying the handle around with you, and you pull it out, and it all locks in place. Look, I'm sure people know what a telescoping cane is already, but this was new to me. First time I've tried one out, and I really liked it. And I actually said, yeah, you know what? I want to buy this. Obviously, she gave me a bit of a discount last day, no box. But
What,
aside
free
from that-
advertising? And did she still charged you for it? Disgrace.
It was really cool. The only thing is, I don't know the make of it. I don't know if it was an Ambutech one or something else. Because as I said, I didn't get a box, and I haven't got anyone to look if there's any markings on the cane yet. But yeah, very nice. So that is my backup cane. I've stuck it in my coat inside pocket just in case I lose my main cane. Very nice.
Now, one of the reasons I didn't buy anything was because one of the things at CSUN, and this is maybe some feedback I would offer to them, is that there didn't seem to be many opportunities to buy things. It was more about show, right? It was more about telling you about products,
Yes.
and you could obviously buy online or whatever. I think there's a bit of a missed opportunity there, if I'm honest. I don't know if there was some rule around not being able to sell, but I thought the opportunity to buy products, especially those kind of lower-end tech products, there were some really cool things there that I thought I'd happily have bought this right there and then. But there didn't seem to be that opportunity. So that would be something I would say to companies especially. Look, I know you can't bring every single product you have, but the ones you do bring, why don't you sell them? I mean, why not? You know,
Makes sense to me.
Anyway, I thought that was cool. The telescoping cane, there were some other products there. I want to say hello to the guys at Werewolf Gear as well, because they very kindly did give us a couple of canes to test. They did promise actually to send us some canes in the past. And I think they probably just thought, let's just wait till CSUN, we just hand them to them when we get there. So I got the all-terrain cane and I got the Urban Explorer cane, as did you.
Yes.
And I immediately, when I got home, in fact, did I even wait? No, I did. I waited till I got home. Yesterday, I was out and about and I did go and have a wander with the Urban Explorer cane.
Oh, you did?
I did. It's now my main cane. For one particular reason, if nothing else. The cane I bought for going away was the wrong size. So it was it was just about okay, but it felt too short. So I thought, hilarious. I really want a bigger cane. So as soon as I had this, I thought, I'm going to use it. I love the handle. I absolutely love the handle of it because it's a kind of more fabric handle than that kind of leather, that rough handle you often get, which sometimes makes your hand feel a little bit sore after a while, leaves some markings on it, from time to time, especially if you're gripping it, as I sometimes do too tightly. So I thought that was really cool. A lot of people have been complaining about I don't want to say the hinge, but it's not the right phrase.
The joints.
The joints of it, saying that it's a little bit too loose. I don't know what you're doing with it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm walking down the street with it. I'm not shaking it around. So I would understand if you were, essentially pulling it or lifting it up too hard. I mean, it does feel a little bit looser than perhaps your Ambutechs or others, which kind of slot in and stick a bit harder. Which some people do complain about that as well, right? Sometimes you can't even open the cane.
When I'm trying to get in a taxi and I'm trying to...
And it won't lock up. You can't open it.
I'm pulling away at it.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's be fair. I haven't used mine yet. I don't want to get it dirty and tatty. I want to keep
I know,
it
that's so
lovely.
nice.
But I haven't used it yet. So, I mean, those joints may feel looser or the elastic may feel stretchier.
I think it's the elastic. I don't think it's the joints. I think it's the elastic is perhaps a little bit stretchier, if that's a word.
But we have heard some of the criticisms about the Urban Explorer, and we will, I am going to try it out, and we'll get back to you on that. But yeah, I was quite impressed. I do like the all-terrain cane as well. I mean, it definitely felt sturdier.
Oh God, yeah.
I didn't think it was that heavy. Actually, I was quite worried that this is going to be too heavy. Your arm is going to ache after a while. But I was quite surprised that it doesn't feel too bad. So yeah, we will definitely test these out for a bit.
Now, I got one with and it only comes, the Urban Explorer only comes with the mushroom tip, the roller tip, which I've never really used before. I've always had a roller ball. And I thought this would be a nightmare going around because I thought it's too small. This is going to catch on everything. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. I was quite impressed by that. The route that I walk generally has very dodgy paving and, it's quite terrible pathways and such like. So, I kind of expected it to be a bit of a disaster, but it wasn't. One thing I will say is if you like audible feedback from the tip, goodness me, you're going to get plenty of it. Because
is it loud?
It's quite annoying. And especially with my wife and I walking side by side, yeah, you could hear us coming. So, that was maybe I haven't tried it my own yet to see what it's like just with me. So I'll see how it goes when I'm on my own if it feels that way. I do like the audible feedback though, and a lot of people do request that. Which is why a lot of people love things like the ceramic tips and all that kind of thing because they give you much more audible feedback as well as the tactile. But no, so far I'm impressed. I am. I'm liking it.
I do like the ability to change its height as well. That extra adjustable height that you can gain. I do like that idea, and because sometimes, when I'm out and about, and if I'm in a rush, I will try and get the cane as long as possible. But sometimes you want to shorten it out if you're inside. Don't want it quite as long, tripping people up. So I do like that. I'd be interested to see how that mechanism for locking it in place when you set the length, how that holds out. So very nice, and thank you, a Werewolf gear as well.
Yeah, and I should say there's no expectation on a positive or otherwise review. They just wanted us to have this so we could talk about it. And I keep saying to companies all the time, look, we can't buy every product that's out there. We would love to, but if you can help us out, then we will absolutely talk about the products. But you're not going to get favorable reviews. You'll get an honest review because that's what you would expect. But I am impressed so far. I do think that the adjustable height mechanism, it can be tightened. There is a way to tighten it directly on the device, so you can have it less, so that it's less likely to. I think if you were to lean on the cane whilst it was extended at the top, you would definitely find it would just go back down very quickly.
Well, it's what would you call it? It's a plastic screw or plastic
with a little clip that kind of holds it in place. It's like a tripod. Yeah. It's very similar to tripods.
It is.
They do it.
Yeah.
Now, and it's very hard to get that to stay, right?
Well, I did have a little. I tried it once, and I thought, it's just going to slide down again. But I just tightened it a little bit more, and it seemed solid.
Yeah.
But is that going to loosen off over time? Is it always going to constantly
but hang on, if you lean on the
know.
cane, don't you expect that anyway? I mean, wouldn't you expect that to happen?
I've
had this with tripods over the years. If you lean on a tripod, the same thing happens. It will go down because there's only so much.
Yeah, but you're not expected to lean on a tripod. No, I don't expect. I expect it to hold its height, the adjustment that I make. I do expect that, yeah.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
I will say this. It's it becomes a no-jab cane very quickly thanks to that mechanism, because if you do walk into something, it immediately shrinks down. So, you do get a benefit there.
So funny. I came back and opened the suitcase, and I gave my family the presents that I bought, and then we went through the canes. And we both said, Sarah and I both said, can you imagine just, I don't know, 8 years ago, how we're both there getting excited over these canes. 8 years ago, we didn't want to touch a cane. I wouldn't, I can't bring myself to get a white stick. It was awful. And then we were going, look at this one. Oh, this is cool. So now we're all over them. It was so strange.
You wouldn't even, I'm the same. About 8 to 10 years ago, I think, when we moved to where we are now. Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought about it. In fact, I think even 15 years ago, the idea of a cane would just make me feel sick.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And now it's not like you're kind of leaping up and down, but you're less bothered by.
Was.
Well, no, you are. You're excited about the technology, the cane, and all that. But it's the idea of using it just doesn't terrify you anymore.
I need it. I cannot.
Absolutely.
I feel naked. It's just part of me now, and it's great. It makes life easier.
You couldn't leave the house without it. You just couldn't.
No, absolutely right.
Anyway, Derry, there's your answer to your question. Sean spent money.
Thank
Shocking,
you.
I know.
I had to borrow the money, and I don't think I've paid the person back yet. But technically, I've spent money. Someone else's.
You spent someone's money, not yours. Okay, let's move on to Leander.
Hi, Stephen and Sean. Thanks for a wonderful show, as always. Just wanted to say, it's Leander. Just wanted to say, really enjoyed the CSUN coverage. Some absolutely brilliant tech featured. Was really interested in the braille displays and the navigation apps. Navigation products were amazing as well. And thanks for a wonderful episode with Chris McCausland. He was absolutely brilliant, and I totally agree with what he says about blindness. You can do so much like he does with performing in front of thousands, and his anxiety at going to the shop, is horrendous, and I can totally agree with that, because I love volunteering with the disabled and elderly and that, and I do that well, so I'm told. Well, I do, and but I wouldn't venture to the shop, and that's not through lack of training, because I had fantastic mobility training, when I was at school and that. But, it is through the anxieties, and it's through how, how things are today. Do you know what I mean? I suppose. But it was great to hear him talk like that, because it just goes to show everybody has their own individual issues. So thanks once again for a wonderful show.
Oh, thank you, Leander, and thank you for all your messages. I know you're forever sending us messages. We don't get a chance to play all of them, but we really appreciate you sending them. Chris spoke so openly and honestly, didn't he? And I think that is going to resonate with a lot of people. I think also it kind of hits in a different way when it's someone who's famous saying it, because it's like, God, he feels the same way as I do. It's almost like, well, once you've been a celebrity, all that just goes away, right? You're a superstar, none of it matters. Yeah. But it's not true. These same anxieties still exist, and going out to buy a loaf is more challenging for him than getting up on a stage in front of thousands of people, right? Because that's
so strange.
But it kind of makes sense, because you think about the journey to get to that place. If you're doing that on your own, I love the idea. And I remember when I was going out one day, I always do it in big cities. If I'm on my own in a big city, I feel fine. Because it's almost like, well, if I get lost, I'm going to ask someone. It's straight. It's like when you live where you live, it's the idea, I think, of screwing up. Because you should almost know, right? You should know where the shop is. You should be able to find the shop and get back. Yeah. So it's like you tell yourself that, if you get it wrong, you've screwed up. Whereas if you're in a city and you say, I'm going to go to a coffee shop, and you have to walk 15 blocks to get to it, and you realize that there's not one block away, or one just across the road the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Then you don't feel quite as bad about it, because it doesn't really matter. I don't know if that's the case for everybody.
I know what you're saying, but I think in the case of Chris, and you mentioned, being famous, being a celebrity, which there's no doubt Chris absolutely is. And it just feels like, if you see him on TV, it just seems he's so confident, he's so comfortable. And you think, well, that goes all the way through every aspect of his life. And, as we do, sometimes we can, to members of our family or friends, it seems like, he's got it sorted. It doesn't bother him. But of course, it makes you feel not as alone in how you're feeling. When someone like Chris McCausland has anxiety about things like that, it makes you think, what, I'm not failing at this. This is part of it, and you just need to accept it. I just thought it was really cool. And as you said, just Chris being so open and honest about it, it's just, I thought it was really helpful. I thought it was great.
So when we were at CSUN, we stayed at the Anaheim Marriott Hotel, which is the place where the exhibition is held, which is the first time I've ever done that. And it's great because, like, being right there, that took away a lot of anxieties as well, right? Because you're in the very building where the whole thing is happening. And, for American, or going by American standards, it's not the biggest hotel I've been in America. It was actually a nice size. Some of these, when you go to CES, honestly, it took me 25 minutes to get from my door of my room to reception. That's how long it took. I felt there should be a shuttle service.
Forget it. I wouldn't leave the room.
It was ridiculous. I was in the Luxor in Vegas, and I remember thinking the weirdest hotel ever, right? Because elevators that go sideways. It's just the most bizarre hotel I've ever been in. But
that's Willy Wonka, isn't it?
It was
the chocolate factory you were in.
Well, so the Luxor, if you don't know, it's just basically a giant pyramid, right? That's the whole thing with the Luxor. It's just a giant pyramid. So the building is shaped that way. So therefore, the elevators have to go off at an angle and go up and down that way. So it is very Willy Wonka. But just a huge place, getting totally lost all the time. Eventually you find your way kind of on the last day, and that's it. You think, oh, well, that was that. But, what I was really enjoying at that hotel was the GoodMaps integration. And we kind of touched on this last week, but, it is one of those who knew moments, right? Because you think, you've been saying to me for the longest time, oh, this GoodMaps thing is brilliant. You tried it at Manchester Station and London Station and all that, London Euston. And they were brilliant, absolutely amazing. You were having a great time with it. And I don't know, I maybe it's a cynicism, or maybe a sense of I'm going to screw up here with this, or I'm not going to understand it, so I'm not going to use it. But I kind of forced myself to say, no. That morning, the first morning we arrived, I said, I want to go and buy a coffee. And I knew, because I'd heard someone say there was a coffee shop in there. In fact, I heard someone at reception when we were checking in say, oh yeah, we've got Starbucks. And I thought, oh great, we'll go there. So in the morning, I got up, I get the app ready. Of course, you do that thing where you get all the app, make sure it's working before you leave.
Yes.
So left the room, and you got to do the scanning thing. And it was struggling a little bit because it was quite a dark hallway. So I just kept walking to where I thought we were at reception. It was day one. Couldn't remember how I got to the room, so hadn't mapped it out in my mind yet. So kind of walked in the general direction of noise.
Yes.
It's a bit like those movies, where it's like dark, horrible, awful route to the left, or nice, bright, sunny, hot route to the right.
Birds singing.
Which one do we choose? So anyway, went down the corridor. Eventually, it locked on. Figured out where I was, and then it walked me to the coffee shop. And it sounds so simple to anyone who goes to a hotel or anyone who goes to these things. Well, so what? You went for a coffee. I did it myself. I didn't have to ask a soul, despite about 50 people between me and the coffee shop asking me, do I need help? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I didn't want anybody to know where I was going, because I didn't want someone to say, oh, it's just there, or you're. I didn't want. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't waste the movie. Don't spoil it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me find it myself. And then when I got there, it was brilliant. And the only thing I would wish it would do is just take you to the. Well, it takes you to the door of the store, right, in the coffee shop. But then you're kind of lost, and at that point, I wasn't sure where to go from there.
Got to find the counter. Listen out for a cash register of some sort.
It's a last 10 yards problem, right? Even indoors.
You don't get those. Yeah, no, absolutely. But, I mean, it's so accurate, though. I used it at Manchester Piccadilly Station, and I was trying to find the assistive help desk, and it took me directly to it and said, the opening is just to your right. I mean, the opening to go actually in, it is... So accurate. I will say, so you're right. So they had CSUN, they had the Marriott Hotel all mapped out, except for the corridors with the hotel rooms in, because I wanted to try and find the elevators. Yeah. They weren't mapped, so you couldn't use it to get back to your room, for example, which is kind of understandable. How many rooms are in there? You're going to have a big list to go through, but okay.
Did a braille on the outside of the doors, and I like that.
Yeah, that's true. I use Seeing AI, just walking down,
I just felt the walls. That's all I was doing.
All right, Mr.
Was Lionel Richie over here?
But as soon as you come out of the lift onto
is this my room? Please get out of it.
Come out.
Sean's in it.
Stop it. As soon as you got into the lobby, open up GoodMaps, panned it left and right, and it knew where you were. It was excellent. I did get lost. I tried it to get back to the elevators from Starbucks, and it got confused. That was the first time I've had problems with GoodMaps. Now, I'm guessing the reason was it was incredibly busy and lots of people walking in front of me, big crowd. I think, it couldn't get a lock on where I actually was. But that was the first time, and sort of an exceptional situation, I think. But wow, isn't it impressive though? Who knew? I told you.
Well, Neil Barnfather, who is from GoodMaps and has been on the show before, I saw him just recently at Glasgow Central Station, which is my nearest big station. And he was walking around, using GoodMaps there, and I cannot wait to go in. I'll tell you the other thing that's great about it. So Neil talks about this, about the idea of not needing assistance, right? So for those of us who want to try and do it ourselves, there are ways. I mean, I spoke to a number of people who said, as soon as I land in an aircraft or go, at an airport, I, just get Aira, fire up the Aira Explore app, and off I go. And the challenge I face with Aira, and it's the same challenge in almost every time, is indoors getting a reliable signal. If there's a Wi-Fi in the airport, that's fine, but I do struggle to get a solid connection. We were in a shopping mall, and we were walking around, again, trying to find a coffee shop, and we could smell the coffee, but we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And so we thought, okay, so we got Aira out, we tried it, and, actually it did, it worked, and it was fine, but it's a bit tricky getting that connection. I don't know what system it is they use over Aira. I wish they would look into this, because I can make FaceTime calls and it's fine, or I can make a WhatsApp call and it's fine, but I seem to have issues with Aira calls, and I really wish they could fix that, because it actually becomes a little bit of an emergency service at certain points in places. And I think,
oh, absolutely,
this is really vital that this gets, is a bit better than it is. Even Be My Eyes calls, they're fine indoors, never a problem. So, they've got to look into that. Something, because that's the one complaint I have about Aira. I love the service, I rely on it, but I can't rely on it if it's not going to be available, or if I'm just basically talking and having a 5-second delay with an agent.
Yeah, I have noticed a few problems when the call's picked up. Sometimes I miss the introduction, hey, I'm so-and-so, your agent. there is a little bit of confusion there sometimes. I can't hear it. I don't know if it's connection or just the audio trying to sort itself out. But yeah, I agree. And as you were trying to get Ira to work, I was trying to make a Be My Eyes call on my Meta glasses. But of course, the battery had gone down to below some percent, so it wouldn't do it. So, got to smell the coffee. We need the coffee.
Needed coffee, definitely.
We found it, though. We got there eventually.
We got there, yeah, we did. Although I hung up the call and then you said, yeah, you should have really held on because I need to find a table. Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't be so quick next time, Stephen. Let's move on to Molly's comments. Let's see what Molly has to say.
Hi, Stephen and Sean. It's Molly here. Well, I heard your episode and you both saying you're not cat lovers. Fair enough. You know what? It's their own. I love cats, but I'm not a dog person, really. So...
What?
At all. So each their own on that one, and tell you what, if we were all the same, we'd be very boring.
Absolutely.
And also, I was listening to the episode on inaccessible vending machines and TVs and whatever, and I'm pretty sure someone was mentioning McDonald's. Now, I don't know if this person, if they're in the US or the UK, but there is a McDonald's app. I'm in the UK and there is a McDonald's app and it is quite accessible. I haven't used it in a restaurant yet. I'm yet to do that, but there is an app, so just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, take care. Speak soon.
Oh, thanks, Molly. Good advice, actually. I have tried that McDonald's app. It seems not too bad. I haven't been in for a long time, though, because I'm Mr. Fit these days.
Yes, no KFCs or McDonald's while we were away.
I didn't spend any money.
People couldn't believe it. Just one Denny's, 2 broken fingers, no KFCs. Everything was cool.
And a sing-song with Stevie Wonder. Not a bad week, right?
I'm making Stevie Wonder cry.
You keep coming back to that. But,
I couldn't believe it. That's why.
Can I just say, I had people from AMI contacting me by email saying, is everything okay? Because we've heard that Stephen's not been to KFC, at all this week. And Andrika Delanrell, who was with us from the network, she was concerned about me. She was genuinely concerned. She thought I was wasting away.
We got plenty to waste, though, so we're all right for a while.
It's a long way of waste. Yeah, that's for sure.
We're trying. What was I going to say then about Molly's? Oh, yeah, the kiosk. That was it. So, yeah, we actually met Derek over at the Glide booth as well. Derek was the guy who sent in the email about inaccessible kiosks and inaccessible terminals, payment terminals, restaurants and fast food restaurants as well. We met Derek and obviously we did mention before about Jaws for kiosks being a thing, and hopefully there needs to be a lot of work when it comes to accessibility of these things.
Well, I mean, this was the other joy of CSUN, right? Because we got a chance to learn. Now, am I right in saying Sony had a kiosk? Is it them or was it someone else?
They did, yes. They had an accessible kiosk for showing products. So it gave you an audio description of the video that it was playing. It had buttons to skip forward, back, play, pause, all with Braille labels. And these accessible kiosks were in place in, I think it was 925 Best Buys in the US. I was so surprised that, Sony, that's a PlayStation and a TV, surely. But actually, they had a lot of cool stuff there.
Well, we talked about the accessible camera. I mean, that's just, I really want to get hands on with that because, I think for creating content, it's just brilliant that they start going down this road. I mean, the thing is, they're starting with this particular camera. They've got this screen reader on. There's no reason why they couldn't go further than that. They were also showing off a device which was for people who are low vision. I would say it's a viewfinder type device, right? So you put it on a regular camera and you're like a point and shoot camera, and it fits in to this little viewfinder device, which then allows someone with low vision to, and I think I'm right in saying it's like it scans the retina or puts the image onto the retina directly. It's very clever how it does it. Didn't work for me, unfortunately. I did try it, and the guy was really, you're going to love it. And I'm like, I had a feeling it wouldn't work, but I tried it, and I said, I can't see anything more in that. It's a blur to me, even on that. But clearly, there are people who will value and get a huge amount of value from that. And it was like $600. And you think, well,
exactly.
compared to eSight, and no harm to eSight, but and it's a different device. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, of course it is.
But if you're just looking for something so you can see a distance, then that's not. I mean, there's other options, right? Eschenbach, I think, were there. They were there with their monoculars and all those other kind of devices. But
that's not what it's for. But he did tell us a story about people, using the camera and this special laser projector, which projects directly onto the retina, using that viewfinder to actually use it so they could see things in the distance and that.
Not for taking pictures, although you could, but it wasn't necessarily for taking pictures.
No, that's right. Yeah, but it was just a really cool technology there, and as you rightfully said, it's not going to work for everyone. It projects onto the retina, so mileage may vary. But also, they had the external viewfinder, which was a display like the size of a large iPhone. Again, for low vision. So if you couldn't see the viewfinder on the camera itself, it would cast out that viewfinder image to a larger monitor, almost a larger display that may be more useful to you. So very cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there were a couple of companies that were showing that kind of technology, that kind of VR headset type technology, and being a little bit... I'll say brash about their claims. And, there was one particular company I will not name because I didn't try their product, so I'm not going to comment on it. But I will say that I felt the salesmanship was a little bit aggressive for me, suggesting that, you've tried eSight, that didn't work for you. Well, this one will. And I'm like, well, hang on. It's not because eSight didn't work for me. It's because my vision isn't enough. And eSight and other companies like them have been very clear. Look, this will not work for everybody, but it will work for some. And for those it works for, that's great. But, like you,
so important.
I think the RP thing, with you, I think there would be a period maybe 10, 15 years ago where eSight might have been great for you. But It's not going to last. It's not going to work now. And there's no way around that. No,
and it's so important because, as I was and many others, I'm sure, at a certain stage in your sight loss journey,
I love a sight loss journey.
You're looking for a solution, right? You're looking for that fix that's going to fix you. But and I think we got to be so careful. These are very specific, very individual, very personal. It may work for certain eye conditions and not for others. But very interesting technology nonetheless.
I think the idea that eSight has, which when we talked to Roland from eSight, I thought it was really interesting to learn about the buddy system that they're doing. I actually think that other assistive tech companies could learn from this idea. So what essentially they're doing is customers who are buying the eSight, and this is not everybody, it's those who choose to can become buddies or coaches. So they're using the device every day, they're using it all the time. You want to buy one, you can be paired up with a buddy to help you get the most out of the device. And of course, that's brilliant, right? Because those people are using it every day. They're not salespeople. They're actually genuinely using this product. And I actually think that's a great way, a great community building approach to your product. Because, we all, as soon as we buy a product, especially in our community, we're all searching out Facebook groups and looking at groups of people online on groups.io or whatever it is that are actually using this product and can help with troubleshooting issues. Actually being able to contact someone who uses it every day and say, oh, how are you doing this and how are you doing that? I think that's brilliant. I think it's a really ingenious idea. I haven't heard this before, I don't think.
Is it ingenious or is it actually common sense? And we're really surprised that no one's put this
into... That's why it's ingenious, right? Because no one else has done it. I mean, why is no one else doing this?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think, that customer help is so important. And I just wish, I'm thinking of Braille displays. I still look at some Braille displays and think that's just another world. I have no idea where even to start. But having someone available you can talk to about that will be so cool. Yeah, I thought that was great. Cosmos, I can't remember his second name, was the coach we spoke to at eSight, and he was very good. Cosmo.
Great name.
Cosmo, always a great name, yes. Very good. Cosmo Moore, I believe he was.
Oh, well done.
Great.
I'm impressed. You were telling me how impressed you were by my memory on names. You remember the name.
You remembered every name of everyone there. Thank you.
Sean remembered something.
I'm an old man.
I think you're doing all right. I don't know what you've done to yourself, but it's working for you. Keep up. No, listen, it was amazing, and again, thank you for all your feedback that you've been giving us, because it's just good to know that what we're doing is making a difference and getting information to you. I think as well, it's kind of rejuvenated us a little bit, because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you talk about the Apple stuff and you talk about the Android stuff, and everyone gets fed up after a while because it's like, yeah, we know. And that's what often leads the headlines. But it really gave us a chance to dig into the specialist world. And I don't think we would have been able to understand a lot of what is going on out there without talking to these companies. And of course, it's opened up a whole new conversation on different types of devices. I'm really looking forward to digging in more to the coverage, and we will do that over the next week. Some great chats coming up next week. Tomorrow we're going to stay in the inbox because we've got tons of emails to get through. Tomorrow we're going to focus in on emails that we've got since we left. So there's a number already in the queue that we want to get to tomorrow. So we're going to dive into those. Just a reminder as well for those of you who are new to the show, because many of you may be tuning in for the first time. I hear a lot of you have been tuning in, finding the show because you heard about it at CSUN.
Hello.
So hello to you. Thank you. Welcome along. Welcome to the Double Tap family. If you're listening to us, you're officially a double tapper. So tap to you. So yes, you can find out more about everything we do at doubletaponair.com. And of course, we're on social media as well, posting all the time. But do check out all the articles and stories. We'll be publishing more from CSUN as we go. And of course, keep checking the website. We'll have a whole page dedicated to our conversations from CSUN coming up. But for now, that is it from us today. We'll be back tomorrow with plenty more. Keep your feedback coming in all the usual ways. You can find that at doubletaponair.com/contact. And we will catch you tomorrow. As always, Sean Priest, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.